To say that the meaning of being is presence is to say that all things as things are there as quality. This quality is what is intended by qualia, but the essence of quality is presence. The word experience is the attempt to speak the being of quality as presence. Here in this ontology, I enact the deepest intention of Panin experientialism. But experience is not internal or representational. And experience is not stuff or material that the world is made of. Experience is being itself. Experience is the presence of world for. I don't have experience. Experience has me. Experience is the world as it encloses me. It's the for me-ness of this enclosing world that makes it my experience. This experience is the presence for me of the phenomenological life world in all of its interpersonal transcendence and complexity. To emphasize my utter repudiation of any kind of solipsism, I employ an important distinction between two understandings of the ego, or self. The ontological ego is a formal concept, analogous to the total stream of experience of a particular experiencer. The empirical linguistic ego, the flesh and blood person, you might say, who has a proper name, is of course this experiencer who is had by their own experience. This empirical ego is a present entity, not presence itself. The ontological ego, often understood as phenomenal consciousness, the stream of consciousness or experience, is not a kind of emergent epiphenomenal stuff, but rather the presence of every kind of stuff. Consciousness is presence of world. I am conscious if and only if the world is present for me. The world that has me is a vast, transcendent, and interpersonal life world. This is why experience, traditionally conceived as internal and mediating, is a misleading term, even though it does try to speak presence. Indirect realism traps and flattens this presence as something internal that is merely objectively present as one kind of stuff that floats like cream on another kind of stuff. So we end up with the wretched concept of present qualia opposed to a non-present, truly there stuff as the cause of such qualia. Phenomenalism is initially and reliably, stubbornly misunderstood to reduce the world to indirect realism's internal stuff. It is understood mistakenly to keep the representation, but to discard the represented. Or it is understood to construct the represented from internal ingredients. Even A.J. Ayer presents objects as logical constructions from neutral sense data. This is less than ideal, but he does explicitly dissolve the being of the perceiver into such sense data, and this is the essential move. There is no brain in itself, outside of all streams of experience, actual and possible, that generates a secondary epiphenomenal stuff, which of course would be a nullified understanding of experience. In other words, the brain, traditionally understood as a device, mystical in its power, that converts substrate impulse into representational qualia, mediating between two kinds of stuff in a dualist and ingredient ontology, is, for phenomenalism, one more entity scattered over streams of experience. I call streams of experience ontological egos because they are structured by the belief of their associated linguistic empirical egos, by the believers who are said to have that belief or system of beliefs. Here, the word belief indicates not only the system of explicit beliefs of the empirical believer, but also the lived structure of that believer's experience that need not be already put into words. This pre-verbal articulation of experience is how I can confirm predictions, take them to be correct. For example, if you tell me there is a red ball in a closed cardboard box, I can open it and match this explicit claim with the there-ness or presence of the correctly predicted situation. I see that the ball is in the box. I read this off of an experience that is already articulated in this pre-verbal way, and that it has a structure that can be articulated explicitly. This correctness, it should be noted, is situated. I believe that your prediction was correct because I have adopted that belief. My sense of the world now includes the being in the box of the red ball. This kind of personal confirmation, a transformation of belief explainable psychologically in terms of direct experience, gets inflated to the ultimately empty notion of truth as correspondence. This confirmation is not verification, for verity or truth, once demystified, is just situated or personal belief. A.J. Ayer in Language, Truth, and Logic compactly presents what is basically Mill's phenomenalism. Mill, thoroughly secular, and a hero in the work of Feyerabend, seems to have seen himself as correcting Berkeley, completing what was initially merely the pretense of an immaterialist intention. In Berkeley, a pseudo-immaterialist, this intention faltered with the inclusion of a God who simply replaced the matter of atheist and deist with the more congenial to him matter of theist. His God was, of course, the Christian God. Berkeley's version of matter, disavowed presumably as such, is the world in God's unflinching eyes. The world as it manifests in its purported truth to a God who never blinks. I suggest that what I call substrate physicalism, with truth as correspondence, with the substrate functioning as truth maker, is unwittingly equivalent to this view of Berkeley, with the philosophers' simplified God swapped in for Jehovah. It's not much noticed that Mill's phenomenalism, properly appropriated, gives us a secular twist on Leibniz's monadology. I offer a quote in support of my claim that phenomenalism is perspectivism. As the same town looked at from various sides appears quite different and becomes, as it were, numerous in aspects. Even so, as a result of the infinite number of monads, roughly streams of experience, it is as if there were so many different universes, which nevertheless are nothing but aspects, perspectives of a single universe, according to the special point of view of each monad. So we can understand this in terms of the world being only from a point of view, but every point of view is the presence of the entire world. So these different universes, as Leibniz calls them, are what I mean when I claim that the consciousness of the other is the presence of the entire world from another perspective than my own. The hard thing to let go of is the unstable notion of the world as it really is, the world in the eyes of God. I claim that the essence of both matter and God is a substrate or purportedly non-present being that makes truths true. Phenomenalism, understood here as a genuine post-truth immaterialism, is therefore a non-representational ontology. It is owned or authentic because it understands and presents itself as situated belief and not the truth. Phenomenalism is perspectivism, is the radicalized redundancy theory of truth. To unfold this aphorism is to appropriate my perverse ontology.